Hi, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Dugout Talk. It's going to be a little bit of an untraditional episode, and it's just simply put, baseball is a mess right now. There is a lot of stuff kind of going on off the field that could really sour the game in the coming months. Um, there's been some debate on this whole illegal substance thing with the pitchers. I don't know if I should say debate, but last week there was a pitcher that was ejected and recently suspended for supposedly having illegal substance on him while he was on the mound. And then there's also been this whole thing with Tyler Skaggs that's going on that I think is just too important to not cover. So we're going to kind of dive into that today. This is going to be a different episode because this is more based on current events that are going on, and this is going to be a lot of how I feel, but I also want to know how you guys feel about this stuff moving forward too. So first of all, let's dive into this illegal substance thing that Major League Baseball is now cracking down on with pitchers. So back in June, Major League Baseball announced that any pitcher that was caught with a foreign substance on their glove or anywhere on their body to help them gain an advantage in pitching while they're on the mound pitching was going to be suspended for 10 games with pay, but the team was going to be penalized a roster spot. They would not be able to fill that roster spot with a replacement player. So this is a pretty big deal. Up to this point, only two pitchers have been suspended, ejected, whatever you want to call it, for having an illegal substance. Hector Santiago of the Seattle Mariners was the first pitcher to get caught. That was back in July. He got suspended, and then he got busted for PEDs shortly after, and received an 80-game suspension on top of his suspension for the illegal substance that he got busted with. Last week, in one day, two pitchers were ejected. For this kind of thing as well. One was ejected more for his antics, not because of the illegal substance, but another pitcher was ejected for illegal substance. The first one we're going to talk about is Chicago White Sox ace Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn was ejected last Tuesday by third base umpire Nick Lentz for throwing his belt to the umpire, because the umpire requested to look at it for illegal substances. So I'm not gonna share video because I don't want to get a copyright violation. So feel free to just look up the video yourselves. But last Tuesday against the Oakland A's, Lance Lynn, he's already this happened in the fourth inning. He was laboring through the game. He was at 88 pitches after his fourth inning of work. And as protocol, the umpires were getting ready to do a second check on Lynn just to make sure he didn't have anything malicious going on. He didn't have anything on him that would help him doctor the baseball or help give him an advantage. Usually umpires will make their first check in the first inning or second inning, and they usually go every 2 innings for starting pitchers. And then whenever a new pitcher comes out, they'll do a check on them after their first inning of work. That's standard. That's normal. Nick Lentz, being the third base umpire, he was responsible for checking Lance Lynn as the White Sox third base dugout, or have the third base dugout at their home field. Lentz was late getting over to Lynn, and Lynn states this. And in the video, you'll see Lynn is walking off the mound. He's kind of looking around for the umpires, and they don't come to him. So he goes in the dugout, and as he describes here, I'll read this quote from Bleacher Nation as Lynn described it. No, he's late getting over there. He's referring to third base umpire Lentz. I'm trying to get some work done to go back out for the fifth, and obviously I hurt his feelings. He threw me out because I tossed my belt. I said, well, if you were over there on time, we wouldn't have this problem. I'm already in the dugout. So that's what happened. The umpire came over to have Lynn get his stuff checked. So what Lynn did was he dropped his glove and his helmet on the dugout railing, because as he said here, he was going to go to the trainer to get some stuff worked on so he could go back out there for the fifth inning. As he was heading to the training room or to the clubhouse, Lentz asked Lynn for his belt, and Lynn is nowhere near Lentz at this point. Lentz is still on the field. Lynn is down in the dugout. So what Lynn does, and the reason I say this is soft and this is ridiculous, is because Lynn, like I said, Lynn's nowhere near Lentz, so he just tosses his belt to the umpire. Some people say he threw it. Then when you look at the video, if you look at the video, he didn't throw that belt. He tossed it. And maybe was it smart to toss it? Probably not. But with where he is in the dugout, no harm, no foul. He's not trying to harm the umpire by throwing his belt. He tosses his belt and he gets ejected. He got ejected for tossing his belt. And as Lynn puts it here, I hurt his feelings. I gotta tell you, that's as soft as it gets as far as throwing someone out of a game because you were late getting over to get a check done, but two, because the player tossed something to you. That's absurd. How do you get tossed for something like that? How do you get ejected for something like that? I am normally on the umpire's side. I'll admit I tend to side with the umpires, maybe more than I should. But in this case right here, there is no way to defend Nick Lentz. It's really ridiculous for a young umpire to throw a guy out because you asked him for something and he lightly tossed it to you, and then you throw him out for that. You can't. That's a double standard. That is a double standard. Sure, maybe Lynn shouldn't have thrown the belt, but even then, it doesn't matter. It's not like he threw it at him to harm him or he threw it at him out of anger. He just tossed it up to him. In the video, you'll see it. If you look up the video, you'll see that it's a toss and it lands on the rail, or it lands a little away from the rail, I think. Anyway, that was very lighthearted. Nothing has come from that. Lynn didn't get suspended or anything like that. So that's that as far as that first thing goes. Now, as far as the second point that I want to talk about, this one had to do with a pitcher actually getting ejected for a foreign substance. And that pitcher is Diamondbacks reliever, former starter Caleb Smith. Now, you all know I'm a Diamondbacks fan. I said that in our very first video back in January. What the take I'm taking here, this is not my fandom bias coming out. This is a legitimate what happened here. I don't think Caleb Smith was cheating. So today, the league announced that Caleb Smith has been suspended 10 games, the standard for substance being found on the glove by the umpiring crew. This also happened on Tuesday, the same day that Lance Lynn had his whole shenanigan of getting tossed for tossing his belt. This was against the Phillies in Arizona. The thing about this situation is Caleb Smith had already been out there for a little over 2 innings. So he was in his third inning of relief. He's trying to hold down a 4-1 lead against the Phillies. And he'd been cruising along until his final inning of work. He gave up a homer to Odubel Herrera, and then that was going to be it for him. The umpires did a formal check. Phil Cuzzi was the third base umpire, and the thing about Phil Cuzzi was he was the one who ejected Hector Santiago for the illegal substance on his glove in Seattle back in July rather. So Cuzzi's involved again in this. The only difference is he's not the crew chief this time around. Cuzzi inspects Caleb Smith's glove, and during commercial break, or after commercial break, the game feed cuts to all four umpires talking to Torey Lovullo, the Diamondback skipper. And it's pretty clear at this point, they've got Caleb Smith's glove in hand. It's clear at this point they found something, which is like in the moment, oh boy, what happened? That's not good. But here's the thing, and again, I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to get a copyright infraction. Caleb Smith's reaction to me is too genuine for a guy who would have been cheating. This whole foreign substance thing, I get it. It's great that the league is cracking down on this because I think pitchers were getting a little carried away with trying to gain an advantage and trying to doctor the ball, advance their spin rate, stuff like that. I fully agree with them cracking down on this more. But the thing is umpires don't even know what to look for. It's almost like if they feel something sticky in the glove or on the hand, boom, automatic. That's something that's fishy. You shouldn't be using that. Caleb Smith insists that it's dirt and rosin, and he's stuck by that claim since this happened. And Smith was irate. For a guy to get caught like that, he was pretty irate about the whole situation. Phil Cuzzy was the one who examined the glove, and he said that there was an illegal substance on his glove. Smith insists that it's dirt and rosin. And apparently the rule in this is you can't have dirt and rosin caked on your hand to where it's getting on your glove. You can't have dirt and rosin caked on your hand to where it's not getting on your glove or to where it's being sticky. I'm confused by this because if you're going to have a rosin bag on the mound, that's something that a pitcher can use to help them with grip. That in and of itself is perfectly fine for a pitcher. And here's the thing, a rosin bag is on the mound for a reason. It's not like they're going into the clubhouse to put something on their hand anymore to give them an advantage. No, everybody can see it clear as day that he's going to the mound. And Smith was doing this throughout his outing, especially in the 8th inning. He was doing this. He was routinely putting dirt on his hand, mixing it in with the rosin because he was sweating. And if you've ever been to Arizona, it's easy to sweat, especially if you're doing physical activity like playing a baseball game. You're going to sweat. And Smith had been out there for almost 3 innings at this point. So what he's doing, and this is the claim he's going by, is I had dirt and rosin on my hand. There was nothing malicious about that. And he's absolutely right about that. It doesn't matter if it's caked on your hand or in your glove. It's not like he was going to his glove to give him an advantage. He wasn't going to the glove. He was just going to the rosin bag on the mound and rubbing some dirt on the mound on his hand. There's nothing wrong with that. And now Smith has appealed his 10-game suspension. But here's the thing about that. Hector Santiago also appealed his 10-game suspension, and he lost. He lost his appeal. The thing with this is umpires pretty much have the final say. They're on the field. They feel what's in there. So it makes sense that they would have the final say, but it doesn't matter. If the umpires say you have something in your glove or you have something on you, it's pretty much a guarantee you're going to get suspended no matter what the league finds, because it's what the umpires said. And I don't agree with that. The thing that I'm afraid of is Caleb Smith is going to lose his appeal all because dirt and rosin all of a sudden has become an illegal substance. And the last I checked, you have a rosin bag on the mound for a reason. That is open, plain sight. Everyone can see it. Everyone can see if you're going to the rosin bag to give you a little support to help you with grip, to help you take control of your pitches, so then you don't lose a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to someone's head and basically end their career. That's what I thought it was out there for. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that was my understanding for the last 10 years is the rosin bag is out there to help pitchers with grip, because they get sweaty out there. They get sweaty out there. Their hands get clammy. They're out there long enough. It's just ridiculous. And I'm keeping these articles here just so then you guys can take a chance to read them if you haven't read them already. And this is the quote that I was saying here, as far as Smith insisting that um, that he just had dirt. This is it right here. It was dirt. The inside of my glove is baby blue. The umpire checked it the first time and everything was fine. So he had gotten checked. So why would, here's another thing too. If I was cheating and I got caught, I would own up to it, but I was not. I'm really pissed. And you can see in the video, if you watch it, yeah, he's irate. He's pissed, as well he should be. And for someone to react the way that Smith did makes me think that he did not do anything malicious. I'm behind him 100% on this. I don't see why he would have all of a sudden started trying to doctor the ball with something fishy other than rosin and dirt. I don't get it. I feel like this is one of those things that common sense should be in place. And if Phil Cuzzy had been paying attention to Smith's outing, especially in the 8th inning, he would have known, or he could have at least put 2 and 2 together that this might be rosin and dirt. And I'm not saying that Cuzzy is a bad umpire. Cuzzy's actually a pretty decent umpire, if you ask me. But he goofed up here. And for him to say that Caleb Smith was using an illegal substance when he could have, if he had just been paying attention and seen that Smith was using rosin and dirt, he's going to cost Smith 10 games and he's going to cost the Diamondbacks a roster spot. Now, granted, the season's lost for the Diamondbacks, so I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters one way or the other anymore. It's not like the Diamondbacks are playing for anything other than to not get the first pick in the draft next year. But this is one of those things I think common sense just needs to be put into play. That rosin and dirt, just because it gets caked on your hand, unless if the pitcher is deliberately going to his hand or glove to kind of help him out, common sense should be used that he's probably not using something illegal. So that's the problem that I have with all of this. And I'm really afraid that I'm more worried that umpires are not going to really use common sense in this, and they're just going to be looking for sticky stuff over actually knowing what to look for. That's the thing that I'm worried about in all of this. So that's my spiel on that. This is very minor though, compared to what's actually going on in the league right now. And this is something that very well could affect the game of baseball for years to come. And this is a very sad thing that has been going on for the last couple of years now. So back in 2019, Los Angeles Angels starting pitcher Tyler Skaggs passed away suddenly in his hotel room in Texas. The team was in Arlington for a 4-game series with the Rangers. It was supposed to be the series opener, or the opening game for the series. And it was announced about midday that Skaggs was found dead in his hotel room. Very sad. In that moment, no one could have imagined where this would all be going. Tyler Skaggs died from a drug overdose. And it's no secret that players use PEDs to kind of help them with injuries. There's no secret about that at all. That's the thing just in sports in general. But in baseball, it is really prominent. In a long season, you can expect to see a couple suspensions a year because guys are using PEDs. Now, this whole thing with Skaggs, this has been really 2 years in the making. Now, the federal trial has begun because Tyler Skaggs' family sued the Angels. They filed a civic lawsuit against the Angels for a wrongful death. And now, as time has gone on, there have been a lot more dark secrets being revealed about what was actually going on in the Angel system. And this goes all the way up to the front office. This goes all the way up to the higher ups of the organization. There's a former employee, Eric K., who is being accused of distributing drugs, not only to Tyler Skaggs, but to several other players around Major League Baseball. So you can almost guarantee how recent this is. that there are some active players who were probably receiving drugs from Eric K, Tyler Skaggs. And it's just really sad. It's really angering that this is kind of what it's come down, that this is what it's come down to. Tyler Skaggs was basically a middleman in K's drug distribution. And when I say drugs, that is a very light term because the drugs that were going around are drugs that should not be in player systems. This is from Yahoo Sports. Skaggs' overdose death, according to this article. He was 27 years old when he was found prior to the road game against the Rangers. A toxicology report determined that a combination of alcohol, fentanyl, and oxycodone intoxication with terminal aspiration of gastric contents was cause of death. So not only was Skaggs taking fentanyl and oxycodone, but he was also mixing it with alcohol, which that's a very dangerous, as seen here, that's a very dangerous mix. And it's just the more that this comes out, it's just shocking and it's saddening and it's angering because how did this get where it did? And how did the Angels front office not know that Eric K was doing this kind of thing? Apparently, K had a history of this. K has a history. K had a prior history of this before joining the Angels communications department. Also going on into this article, Skaggs basically choked on his own vomit, and he choked to death. A counterfeit oxycodone pill containing fentanyl was found in his room. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is cheaper and significantly more powerful than oxycodone. It's mixed with oxycodone for illegal distribution and is commonly linked to overdose deaths. This is where Skaggs' family filed a wrongful death civil suit against the Angels that names K and fellow former Angels staffer Tim Mead. Now, Tim Mead recently took a job in Baseball Hall of Fame as a chairman in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and Mead has recently stepped down. Prior to the federal investigation taking place, Mead has stepped down from his role. Knowing this, and it sounds like Mead just did this on his own, this makes me wonder how far and how high up was this known about. Tim Mead was a director of communications in the communications department. And for him, he probably knew this was going on. Now, it's possible he stepped down from his role as chairman as as a way to keep the sport pure. But he wasn't given advice to step down. He just did this on his own. And that makes me think that Tim Mead probably knows something that the rest of the public doesn't. He could even be involved for all we know. He was K's boss, so it wouldn't be shocking if maybe he did know something. Now, his attorney previously denied to ESPN that he had any knowledge of the alleged drug distribution operation. Prosecutors allege that K started distributing drugs to Angels players in 2017. So this was years in the making, and Tyler Skaggs was the middleman. Now this is where things really get juicy. Friday's court filing cites transcripts from the online auction site OfferUp that allegedly show communication between K and his suppliers coordinating drug deals. According to the document, K would sometimes offer Angels memorabilia and tickets as part of the transactions that allegedly took place at Angels Stadium, including a baseball autograph by three-time AL MVP Mike Trout. And I guess this is like a text response going on between K and between K and a distributor known as Sharky. This is just, there are not enough words to describe my anger towards this and my sadness towards this. And here's another thing. There's a filing here that alleges K obtained the pills while at Angel Stadium on June 30th, the day before Tyler Skaggs' death. And this is what allegedly led to Skaggs' death. K would communicate with individuals during the workday, even ask them to deliver oxycodone pills to Angel Stadium, showing that he had the opportunity to obtain the pills he distributed to Skaggs on June 30th. The filing reads per the Times. This is the LA Times, by the way. This is dirty. And where this is going, this might be worse than the Astros cheating scandal from 2017 to 2019, because this is just a matter of how high up in the front office was this going. If someone as high as Tim Mead is stepping down from their role in the National Baseball Hall of Fame now because of this whole prosecution, how many people in the Angels organization knew about this? Because there's no way that no one besides Eric Kay knew what was going on. And if nobody knew what was going on, the Angels are just negligent of what was going on with their players. And to know that Skaggs isn't the only player that was receiving these drugs on the Angels and possibly even around the league. There's no proof yet, but according to Deadspin, there are 5 MLB players ready to ready to stand trial against Eric Kay. So it's clear that Skaggs was not the only one. Skaggs just fell victim to this. It's absolutely sad. And Kay'd been an employee for the team for 13 years. So who knows how long this had even been going on. They only have records of this going back to 2017, but this could have been going on a lot longer. I was talking to my cousin, who's a diehard Angels fan. I remember this really hit him hard too when this came out. And he brought up something interesting. A few years ago, former pitcher Tommy Hanson passed away from drug-related issues. Tommy Hanson was on the Angels before his career ended. Hanson was considered one of the nastiest pitchers of his time in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And it makes me wonder if Hanson also was a victim to Kay's dealings. I never thought about that until he brought this up to me. And it really is it's just awful. This is an awful situation that has taken place in Major League Baseball. And the trial is going to begin in October, the same week as the postseason. I believe October 4th is the day of the first day of trials. This is the day after the regular season, the day before the first wild card game. And baseball's in a mess right now. This opioid scandal surrounding the Angels, and who knows how many other teams this could be affecting too. It's really bad for the game. And we don't even know who the active players are. We don't know who the other Angels players were. But I don't want to put this out there, but could you imagine if Mike Trout was one of these guys receiving the opioids? How damaging this would be to the game, as Trout is the face of baseball right now. Baseball is already in a really tough spot because they're in danger of going into a lockout next offseason, or this upcoming offseason. The CBA for players expires. Rob Manfred has proven to be a very incompetent commissioner, to say the least. And this whole thing right here could be the end of Manfred, and it really could damage the game of baseball enough that it won't even be. It will put the nail in the coffin to it being one of the popular 4 pro sports of baseball. Major League Soccer may jump ahead of baseball, depending on how this goes. And to put it respectively, I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think any true baseball fan really is, because there was a lot at stake here. The Angels could be severely punished, worse than any punishment imaginable if the Astros had actually been punished for their cheating scandal. We could see people banned for life. Artie Moreno may be forced to sell the team when this is all said and done, depending on if Moreno even knew this was going on. And even the fact that Moreno wasn't aware of what was going on kind of shows that he's not really that connected to the team as an owner. There's just so much negligence that's going on here. Someone in the higher ups really screwed up. No matter how you look at this, there is someone is to blame for this negligence. And the Angels really could be screwed. No matter really how this comes out. I really do hope that the Angels aren't. I don't even really know what the best way to put this as is. I hope for the Angels' sake that it is only Eric Kay, Tim Mead, and maybe their owner, Artie Moreno, who really suffer a very severe punishment, and that the team itself can just get away with some fines and maybe some draft pick losses. But I have a feeling when this is all said and done, this is going to go much deeper than just ownership and front office. This could even get players. This could involve players at the end of the day too. Because I think the opioid scandal is a lot more serious than the Astros just banging some trash cans to gain an advantage and try to win some ball games and to get to the World Series, potentially win a World Series by doing that. You're talking about life and death here, not a trophy. You're talking about life and death. And a player lost his life because of someone's incompetence and someone's negligence. And really just because of someone's utter stupidity. It's a very stay on hold, fans, because this is going to be a very bumpy ride. This is going to be a very eventful off season. I don't really know what's going to come of this, but I imagine that there are going to be a lot more strict policies as far as opioid use, to the point where if players are caught, there could be significant worse than PED suspensions, and I hope that's the case for the sake of the game. I really do. Today was a little bit more of a lot more serious episode. I hope to never have to do this again, but I felt like this was just way too important to ignore it. So, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this too, on these topics, because these are things that will affect the game of baseball down the line. So with that said, thanks for tuning in. I do hope you guys found some, I hope you guys learned something from this. And I just hope with the way baseball goes that this doesn't affect us down the road. This would just be very, very saddening. Just very, I don't know. There's no words to really put it. I'm sorry for my lack of words. I just don't think I can really say anything else to make this better or to even wrap this up. But with that said, thanks guys for tuning in. We'll have some more content up in the coming days. We'll see you next time.